9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, so what I'm going to do next to further diagnose this problem for the suspected head gasket failure is I'm going to go ahead and check cylinder leakage. So I'm going to take the end of my compression hose and remove that Schrader valve, and I'm going to hook up my air compressor to the other end, and I'm going to shove shop air down into the cylinder, and I'm going to crank over the engine with my big ratchet here. I've got a 19mm socket down there on the crankshaft pulley. I'm going to turn the engine over to the right, and as I turn the engine over by hand, I am going to get that piston up on top dead center of compression and compress that shop air that's going in, and wherever it leaks out at is where our problem is. Being that these two cylinders both have low compression, I suspect that the air will leak from this cylinder to that cylinder, and I'll be able to feel it, but we'll know more once I get that far. So normally I would do this with the special tool to check cylinder leakage with it's got a couple of gauges and a regulator. I don't have that at home. I just have my compression gauge, so I'm making do with what I've got. But I've got my hose down in the cylinder, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the air compressor fired up. All right, so we've got my air compressor going. I'm gonna go ahead and start to crank the engine over. As I feel tension on the ratchet, that's how I know I'm getting up to top dead center of compression. All right, so I did feel some tension on my ratchet coming up on top dead center of compression. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this hose out, now that I know I'm coming up on compression. And then I'm gonna take my extension and put it down in the cylinder and get that piston right up to top dead center. Okay, so I'm gonna watch this go up, and when I get it to go up as high as it'll go, then I know that I'm at top dead center of compression. So I'll get my ratchet hooked back up here, pull my ratchet. You can see that that's going up. So I want to get it to all the way up. And I'm pretty sure that's at the top. I can hold the engine in place so that way the piston doesn't travel back down, just in case. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook this back up. So surprisingly, I don't have any leakage coming out of cylinder number 2. I don't have any air coming out of the coolant reservoir for a possible blown head gasket. And I also don't have any air coming out of the intake tube for a possible burnt valve, intake valve. And I did listen to the tailpipe in the back, and there's no air coming out of the tailpipe. So surprisingly, this engine is holding air. I suspect that even though we've got 2 cylinders with low compression, and maybe that head gasket's starting to go. So surprisingly, there was no cylinder leakage between the 2 cylinders. I checked both cylinders for cylinder leakage, and no air came out of the coolant reservoir. No air came out of the intake for the bad intake valve, and no air came out of the exhaust pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back together. If it gets worse, then of course maybe there is a head gasket that's starting to go.